Good morning. My name is Martin Estrada, M-A-R-T-I-N, Estrada, E-S-T-R-A-D-A. I'm the United States Attorney based here in Los Angeles. This morning we're announcing a major indictment charging 23 members and associates of the MS-13 transnational street gang, also known as Mara Salvatrucha. Notably, the indictment we are announcing today involve the upper echelons of the gang, meaning that we have charged a broad swath of the leadership of this gang within Los Angeles. As many of you know, MS-13 is one of the largest criminal enterprises in North America. It has over 10,000 members within the United States alone, and many thousands more within Central America and Mexico. The gang's origins trace back to the 1980s, when the Mara Salvatrucha street gang was founded by immigrants fleeing El Salvador's civil war. In the 1990s, Mara Salvatrucha associated itself with the Mexican mafia prison gang, also known as La M, and adopted the moniker MS-13 because M is the 13th letter in the alphabet. The gang's members regularly engage in various criminal activities, including murder, drug sales, extortion, assaults, and firearms offenses. The victims of this gang's crimes are most often people living in historically disenfranchised communities, immigrants from Central America and Mexico, and other Latinos. In addition, the gang regularly targets young people and minors. Young people are often the targets of its violence for resisting the gang, and minors, children, are often recruited into the gang to begin a path that ends with incarceration or murder. The reality is that there is no glory with MS-13. It preys on its own people. The United States Attorney's Office for the Central District of California has a long history of charging MS-13, given that it originated here in Los Angeles. We charged this gang with some of the largest indictments in the country. In fact, early next year, we have a series of trials planned against this gang and the members of the gang for a racketeering conspiracy that involved 11 different murders, including several grisly murders involving machetes, knives, and baseball bats. In the case we are announcing today, 23 defendants have been charged by a federal grand jury with a widespread conspiracy to traffic in methamphetamine, pound quantities of methamphetamine. As many of you know, methamphetamine is an incredibly dangerous and addictive drug. Today's methamphetamine is not like what you see in television or the movies. It is now manufactured in large-scale labs, mostly in Mexico, and it is incredibly potent, generally 95% to 100% pure. It is sometimes referred to as super meth. This drug debilitates people, causes physical harm, causes brain damage, causes psychological problems such as paranoia and hallucinations. And it is getting cheaper and cheaper to make and to buy. As a result, you see this drug all over our streets. The flourishing of this methamphetamine market is in part contributing to the homelessness crisis we see each and every day. Many of those living on our streets are in the grip of relentless methamphetamine addiction. In the indictment we announced today, we allege that MS-13 in Los Angeles has enriched itself on the misery of its fellow citizens, bringing them into a spiral of addiction and destruction. MS-13 used the sale of narcotics to fund its violence, the murders and the assaults it regularly conducts. The indictment alleges that during a roughly 2-year time period that ended last week, MS-13 leaders conspired to distribute pound quantities of methamphetamine. This drug trafficking conspiracy was very well organized. An imprisoned MS-13 leader, who was also a member of the Mexican mafia, directed the heads of the gang's various cliques, people also known as shot callers, to purchase methamphetamine and distribute it in their neighborhoods on a weekly basis. In this way, the gang was able to raise funds. On the street, MS-13 members used violence and intimidation to control the sale of narcotics in the neighborhoods they occupy. To sell narcotics within MS-13 territory, one had to be either a member, associate, or pay the game. In this way, narcotic sales comprise the vast bulk of the revenue generated by this game. Shop callers would authorize drug dealers to sell drugs within individual clique territories, and in return, drug dealers would pay a portion of the proceeds, known as a tax, to their respective shop callers. Notably, as I mentioned, because this conspiracy involved the leadership of MS-13, with this indictment, we have charged a broad swath of the gang's leaders, including 8 different shot callers within Los Angeles. Let me summarize. This indictment charges a widespread conspiracy by the leaders of MS-13 to traffic methamphetamine. What this investigation has revealed is that MS-13 uses drug trafficking as its lifeblood. It uses drug funds to finance its operations, including murder and assaults. In selling these drugs, MS-13 poisons others and disenfranchises communities. In selling these drugs, MS-13 funds its modus operandi of murder and mayhem. And in selling these drugs, MS-13 perpetuates a cycle of violence and destruction, the victims of which are most often immigrants from Central America and Mexico and other Latinos. Let me also add this. The indictment is comprised of allegations that must be proven in a court of law. Each defendant must be considered innocent until proven guilty. I would like to thank our law enforcement partners for their tireless work in this investigation and in this takedown. Specifically, I want to thank our partners with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Homeland Security Investigations, the Los Angeles Police Department, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, for their diligent efforts in today's takedown and the investigation. I also would like to thank the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation and IRS Criminal Investigation Service for their important work on this case. I will now turn the podium over to Assistant Special Agent in charge of the FBI, Adrian Franco.